My landlord said I could decorate however I wanted, then tried to sue me for damaging a historic property. I moved in at the end of August. The lease was short, barely a page. The kind of thing you sign when you're desperate and broke and you found a deal through someone's uncle instead of an agency. It was an old apartment above a closed-down flower shop. Crooked floors, yellow walls, and those fake wooden accordion doors that always fall off their tracks. But the ceilings were high. The windows were wide. And it was cheap. The landlord, Martin, met me with a handshake and keys on a ribbon. Told me he didn't believe in micromanaging tenants. Make it your own, he said. I like when people put a little love into a place. Adds character. I asked him point blank if I could paint. He said yes. Asked if I could hang shelves. He said yes. Asked if I could take down the weird plastic blinds. He said, I hate those too. I asked if he wanted anything in writing. He waved it off. Just be reasonable. You seem like someone with good taste. That was it. The place was gross but livable. I didn't care. I had ideas. I was working freelance, mostly from home, and I wanted it to feel like a real space, not a forgotten attic. So I got to work. Painted the yellow walls white. Sanded down the splintered baseboards. Replaced the flickering kitchen light with a matte black pendant I found online for $19. Put up open shelving with reclaimed brackets. Hung linen curtains instead of those dust-trap blinds. Took off the ugly accordion door to the hallway closet and stored it neatly in the bedroom. Bought peel-and-stick tiles for the backsplash. None of it was structural. No holes bigger than a screw. No plumbing. No electric work. Everything was removable. Everything was within reason. And I posted it all online. Not because I was bragging. I just like documenting things. My TikTok was full of renter-friendly DIY before and afters. It got decent views. People asked about paint colors, lighting links, how to make a $700 apartment look decent. I tagged the space. My little fixer-upper, even though I wasn't fixing anything. Just styling it. Martin followed me on Instagram around week 3. I didn't think much of it. Around week 7, he asked if he could swing by to check the boiler. Said it was routine. Said he wouldn't bother me. I said sure. He stayed for 15 minutes. I made tea. He complimented the shelves. Said it looked like something out of a catalog. Then, 2 days later, I got a typed letter in my mailbox. No stamp. Just folded and slid through the door. It was from Martin. This letter serves as notice that your alterations to the property constitute unauthorized and irreversible damage to historic interior features. He listed everything. The pendant light. Removed original vintage fixture. The wall paint. Covered historic plaster with non-period color. The curtain rod. Installed without landlord consent. The closet door. Dismantled a unique custom divider from the 1940s. Then came the number. $12,000 in estimated damages. Payable upon move-out. Or sooner, if the tenant desires to settle out of court. I thought it was a joke. Then I called him. He answered on the second ring, calm as ever. I warned you. Some things are best left as they are. I said. You literally told me I could decorate. He replied. Decorate doesn't mean destroy. I said. I didn't destroy anything. I made it better. He said. That's your opinion. Then he said the phrase that set off every alarm bell in my head. Don't forget I have before and after photos. I froze. Before and after? I only posted after photos. He never photographed anything while I was moving in. So where the hell did the before photos come from? I didn't say anything else. Just hung up. Then I started digging. First, I opened the old TikToks. Every clip, every pan across the room. I realized he could have screenshotted everything I posted and saved it. But then I remembered something. The day I moved in, I found a small wall-mounted camera half covered in a curtain rod bracket. I thought it was broken. I even joked about it on my story. Either I'm being haunted or this thing's from the Cold War. But what if it wasn't broken? What if he was watching the place between tenants? I searched again. Above the entry door, tucked behind a vent, was a small black square I'd ignored for weeks. Looked like an old motion sensor. I took it down. Underneath? A lens. The bastard was recording. I didn't know if that was legal. I didn't care yet. I just knew I needed proof. Because if he had photos, I needed more. If he wanted to play historic damage, I needed to know how historic this place really was. I wasn't gonna cry. I was gonna burn his fake claim to the ground. I started with Google. Searched the building address. Nothing recent. Just a handful of rental listings, old Yelp reviews for the flower shop downstairs, and one blurry Zillow post dated 3 years before I moved in. It had 5 photos. None were good quality, all washed out and taken at awkward angles. But they were enough. The same crooked floor. Same window shape. And dead center in one of them was the exact same closet I'd taken the door off of. The unique 1940s custom divider. It was a $60 prefab accordion panel with cracked hinges. I knew because I'd taken it down and the brand label was still on the inside edge. Home Basics, made in Vietnam. That thing was from Amazon. Definitely not from 1943. I kept going. I searched the pendant light he said was vintage. The one I took down had a sticky layer of grease on it and a faint manufacturer sticker, Design Solutions Inc., 2012. Not antique. Not even close. The original vintage fixture he claimed I'd removed? It was a cheap flush mount dome, the kind that yellows around the bulb and costs $11 at Home Depot. I had a photo of it from day one, taken when I was filming the before clip for TikTok. Every item he called custom or antique was traceable to modern mass production. I made a folder on my desktop called Historic Fraud and dumped everything in it. Screenshots, links to product listings, timestamps, and my own video stills. Then I checked city records. If this was a historic property, there'd be a designation, a permit, some kind of listing in the local building archive. There was nothing. The building wasn't landmarked, wasn't in a protected zone, wasn't even inspected in the past 8 years. It was old, sure, but not protected, not historic, just worn down and neglected. The only thing it had going for it was the upstairs units were cheap, and the flower shop had kept the main floor from being turned into another vape store. Then I remembered something else. A girl from upstairs, I'd met her once on the stairs, mentioned she'd moved in 2 years ago. Said the landlord tried to charge her for door damage when she left, but didn't follow through because she threatened to post about it. I'd met her on Instagram. Told her what was going on. She replied in 5 minutes. OMG, same. He told me the towel rack was vintage LMAO. She still had emails. Screenshots. She sent me 3. One included a list of damaged items she'd supposedly broken, identical to mine. Blinds, curtain rod holes, peeled paint around light fixtures. He used the same phrasing. Same formatting. Just swapped the name and amounts. That's when it all locked into place. This was a pattern. Martin was running a passive scam. Let tenants fix the place up on their own dime, pretend it was freedom, then try to bill them for unauthorized damage on the way out. Not enough to get legal. Just enough to scare broke people into paying settlements rather than risk court. But he didn't know I had time. And I had every receipt. I printed everything. The city records. The Amazon listings. The messages from the upstairs tenant. Screenshots from my posts. His letter to me. And the older Zillow photos. Then I made a clean PDF. 36 pages. Labeled, in response to false damage claims, Unit 2B. At the top, I wrote a single sentence. Below is the documentation disproving your claim that I damaged a historically significant property. I scheduled it to send at 9 a.m. Then I went to bed. Didn't even check my phone when I woke up. At 10:42 a.m., I got an email from Martin. Let's not make this messy. I've reviewed your response and agreed to consider the matter resolved. No apology. No admission. Just the usual manipulative tone dressed up as professionalism. I replied, please confirm in writing that there will be no charges upon move-out and that this closes the matter entirely. 10 minutes later, he wrote back. Confirmed. I screenshotted everything. Saved a backup. Printed a hard copy for myself. And then I opened a new browser tab, typed in the URL for the local housing authority, and started writing a formal report. I didn't send the complaint in anger. I wasn't trying to go viral. I just wanted it on record. So I submitted a formal housing report through the city's tenant protection office. Attached my PDF, added a summary, gave the timeline, and listed both my apartment and the upstairs tenant's story. They gave me a case number the same day. Nothing flashy happened. No sirens. No raids. No immediate response. Just a quiet email saying, "Thank you for your submission. Our team will review the details and contact you if further documentation is required." Perfect. I wasn't interested in revenge. I was interested in history. Not his fake one, the real kind. The paper trail kind. Then something strange happened. 3 days later, I got a message on Instagram from a stranger. Girl I didn't know. She said, "Hey, I saw your TikTok about the historic property thing. I think I lived in that apartment in 2018. Same closet door. Same flower shop. Same exact scam." She said Martin tried to keep her deposit too. Told her the linoleum was original tile. Told her the curtain holes she left in the drywall were a breach of contract. She pushed back. He backed off. I asked if she still had anything saved. She sent me a scanned copy of her lease and the original, damage summary he gave her, again, almost word for word the same as mine. Same layout. Same weird phrasing. Then someone else commented on my post. He told me the kitchen light was salvaged from a post-war renovation. It had a what brand label still on it. I looked it up. What lights are made in New Jersey. Launched in 2011. Not post-war. Not even pre-COVID. It kept happening. Over the next week, 4 more people reached out. 3 were former tenants. 1 had toured the unit years ago, but didn't rent, and still remembered Martin claiming the bathroom towel bar was custom forged. Every single person had a version of the same story. He encouraged decorating. Praised it. Then, once it was done, invented a story about damages, and tried to withhold deposit or ask for out-of-pocket settlements. Some people paid. Some fought. But no one had ever reported him. Until now. A week after submitting my complaint, I got another email from the housing office. They thanked me for the detailed file and said they were initiating a preliminary investigation into his rental practices. They also asked me to stay in my unit until the lease ended if I felt safe, so they could conduct an on-site inspection. I agreed. Happily. I had nothing to hide. Then Martin emailed again. "I understand you may have taken issue with our correspondence. Please know that my intent was never to make you uncomfortable. If there's anything I can do to resolve things amicably, I'm open to discussion." I didn't reply. 2 days later, he followed up with, "Apologies if I came off too strong before. I've re-reviewed the documents. No action will be taken on my end. Thank you for being a great tenant." Still no reply from me. He'd gone from lawsuit threats to fake friendliness in under 2 weeks. Typical abuser arc. Switch tones when the control slips. Too late. When the inspector showed up, I let him in and handed him a folder before he even spoke. He looked around, asked a few questions, then nodded toward the ceiling light and said, "Is that what he said was antique?" I laughed. He laughed too. He said Martin had been flagged before. Nothing that stuck, but my documentation might finally be enough to escalate. That was all I needed to hear. I moved out a month later on schedule. Took everything with me. Put the closet door back exactly where it was. Left the walls clean and repainted. Even patched the screw holes. Because I knew that following the rules perfectly was how you really win with people like him. Not by screaming, by leaving nothing for them to twist. I recorded a final walkthrough video with timestamps, saved a copy of the return deposit receipt, and blocked his number. The night before I left, I posted one last TikTok. It was just clips of the apartment glowing in soft daylight, a text overlay that said, "Landlord said I could decorate, then tried to sue me for $12,000 in historic damages." So I documented everything, filed a formal report, and made a PDF that ended his scam. That video hit 1.6 million views in 24 hours. I don't know what happened to him after that. I don't care. Maybe the city finally cracked down. Maybe he's scrambling to clean up old leases. Maybe he's still walking into empty units and looking for ways to charge people for things they didn't break. But not with my name on it. Not anymore. Because this time, he picked someone who didn't panic, didn't delete posts, didn't apologize. This time, he picked someone with a scanner, a stable Wi-Fi connection, and zero tolerance for fake authority.